Everyone, my name is Vivian. I'm a longtime book lover and collector, and one of my favorite things to do is talk to my friends and acquaintances about books that I've read, books that they've read, and what we like about them. So recently I've been on YouTube trying to explain why I think some of my favorite books should be read by more people and why I think it's worth your time. I recently did a video on Till We Have Faces. That was a lot of fun. I highly recommend the novel, and thanks to everyone who watched that video. And today I thought I'd talk to you about this book called My Name is Asher Lev by Chaim Potok. This book follows the development of a young boy named Asher Lev. He's born into a Hasidic Jewish community in Brooklyn. I think he's born just prior to World War II, and then so the story takes place right after World War II as he grows and develops. I think there's two main reasons that I like this book so much. First, it portrays a really interesting conflict at the center of the narrative. And second, it portrays it in a very compelling way through Asher's own character. So the conflict central to the book is the one between faith and art. Asher Lev is born with a gift for creating art, but not just like a talent. He's not just skilled at the technical aspect of art. He has this inner drive to constantly represent the world as he sees and feels it. The reason that this is a problem is that Asher is born into a community of Hasidic Jews. These are very Orthodox Jews who center their entire lives around their faith and the study of the scriptures. His drive is seen as a competing force against this dedication, especially by his father, who has dedicated his entire life to helping Jews who are being persecuted. In his father's eyes, Asher's gift is frivolous and useless. There's no place for it in his world. There's no place for it to actually be valuable. And that ends up creating one conflict in the story, is simply Asher's desires and loves being viewed as useless. Another problem is that as Asher grows older and he starts making more creative decisions and being more steered by his imaginative creativity, he makes choices in his art that seem to go against the values of the Jewish faith. And that causes a real stumbling point for his community, as they cannot reconcile his love of art and his pursuit of art and the way that he carries out that pursuit with their own values and his faith. And Asher himself struggles with this. He's an observant Jew and he wants to be faithful, but he doesn't understand how that balances with his desire to create art. Should his faith always take precedence? Should his faith dictate exactly what bounds to stay in within the artistic tradition? Should instead he embrace some things in art that you would maybe not embrace in the real world? Who does he listen to? The secular teacher that he has or the religious teachers in his community? And this conflict continues throughout the whole narrative. As the story progresses through Asher's young adulthood, the author gives no clear answer to how to balance faith and art. Asher makes the decisions that he makes, but there is no satisfactory answer for him or for the reader as you come to the end of the novel. And I think that's because the purpose isn't to give that really philosophical answer to that question. Is to say, hey, this is a problem, and a problem that needs to be addressed by anyone who has this creative gift. Not a problem to have the gift, but a problem of how to play it out and how to limit it and how to let it be free. And I think that's what makes the novel so compelling in that way, is there's no decision that's reached. There's this tacit understanding that this novel is not going to answer your question, but we need to be made aware of it. And I think that's the second most interesting aspect of the novel, is how this conflict is played out in a specific person. So the novel is written from the perspective of Asher Lev. It's in the first person. So you trace him from a very young child to a young man. And as a very creative person, he's very in tune with his emotions and the emotions of the people around him and how they relate to his circumstances. But that doesn't mean he always understands them. So you witness a lot of confusion in his young age simply as to why everybody feels the way that they feel. And then more confusion as he grows a little bit older as to how his particular personality and giftings fit within the worldview that he embraces. So putting this conflict so clearly in a character who appeals to our affections gives it a human dimension that an essay on the matter simply wouldn't, and compels you to actually look at the issue from a human perspective, which is where it should be. There is no divorced debate about faith and art that isn't connected to someone's immediate circumstances and talents and life choices. And I think because this is a novel, written as a good novel, that has a character who is working through these troubles himself, it becomes much more immediately relevant to the reader and has more emotional weight to it than simply a debate that you see written online, that you read and you don't connect to your own life or the life of your friend who's an artist. And I think that's what makes this book so compelling to read. There are no clear answers, but I don't think there should be. I don't think that would be a good novel if there was a clear answer at the end. It's fantastically well written, introduces you very well to what being in a group of Jews in Brooklyn in the 1940s would be like. I highly recommend this book to anyone who finds the debate interesting, who simply wants to read an actually compelling character. It's a bit of a coming-of-age novel, I suppose, as well. I find it incredibly interesting and deeply moving, so I would highly recommend this book if you can get your hands on a copy. And if you read it, I would love to know your thoughts. All right, have a good day. Bye.